When you first go to create your own project, this is the page that you will encounter. Let's focus on smaller areas so that you can understand them a little bit better. We'll refer to this area as the workspace, and this is where you will create your scripts or the codes for your project. This area in the top right-hand side of your workspace, this is where you can watch your project in action. You can expand the size of the screen, and you can also minimize it. Whether you are working from the project page as an expanded screen or just in your work area, you also have options as the flag to start and the stop sign to stop. This smaller area is an area that can easily be overlooked, but this area is where you are going to be controlling your sprites and your stage. The sprite is the character or an object that you have in motion, and it's controlled by your script. Your script can also control the backdrops for your stage. So in this area, you can choose from the gallery that Scratch has enlisted for you. You can download images. You can create your own, turn them into a picture file, and then upload them into Scratch. Think of this area on the left-hand side of your workspace as your files. So you have code files, which have different colored blocks for your code, and they're all by different colors to help you keep them organized. You can also add extensions. The pen is an extension. Click at the bottom. There are many extensions to choose from. So depending on what your students' interests are or what kind of materials that they need, they may choose to use any of these options. But they are not needed to understand in order to use the basic tools for Scratch. So this is where you would find all of your blocks. You can also create new blocks. Right now, we don't have any blocks that are in here, and I'll explain in a few minutes how you can add your own block. Let's move on to the costumes. There are different costumes that you can choose for your character or your object, known as the sprite. If you want to change the stage, that would be the background. This is called a backdrop. And so you can also choose from several backdrops. Very easy. You can add as many backdrops as you would like, just with a click of a button. And this is where you could also upload your own artwork. Just as your sprite can have different costumes, your stage can have different backdrops, you can also include sounds to accompany either your backdrop, your stage rather, or your sprite. As you can see, there are several to choose from, and if you want, you can also create your own. Another area to become familiar with is the backpack. And your backpack, when you first begin, is empty. But as you build code that you're using over and over and over again, you can transfer codes that are in your backpack into other projects. And so they're just clicked and dragged. And there we have a code for creating a triangle. Now, if you'll notice, if you'll click on My Blocks, one of the options is triangle. And so when you have pulled out your own block creation into the workspace area, this is where you'll see those blocks appear. I'll pull up another one. And this one is a star. And so again, we have that block now available to us to use in the project that we're wanting. And if you change your mind, you can just remove the blocks and they will remain in your backpack. If you want them out of your backpack, you would have to delete them, but generally it's great to have these available and you can use them as many times as you want. Your backpack can remain open while you work, or you can close it so that you have more space for your work area. You also have some options up here if you want to increase your work area. And you'll notice as well that we have some sliders so that this can hold a great deal of code. I've changed the backdrop to something a little bit more mathematical, but this is to help you understand how movements are tracked in Scratch so that you are able to move your sprite. We have our y-axis, and we also have our x-axis. And as we move the sprite in different spots of the grid, the coordinates will change. And so if you look in this area, this will explain where the X coordinates are at and where our Y coordinates are at. So as I move my sprite, focus on the change of the coordinates, and it correlates with the location of our sprite. I'm going to click and drag this box over to the center of the screen. And you notice what the coordinates are reading in this axis. Let us change our sprite to another. And I'll pull off another box, and just so that you can compare. You notice that the coordinates are different. And so as your sprite moves across, you can use those coordinates to place a sprite specifically where you want them to be. However, it will only change the blocks while it's in your bank. So once you've moved it onto your work area, you would have to change them manually. And it's just by clicking into that white area and typing in the numbers yourself. Very simple. Now that you are familiar with the Scratch Workspace, go on to the next video to learn how to create a basic script.